I'm down to dunk.
And I'm down to dunk.
So I'm down to dunk.
This is J-Dub, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Shai Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lindy Waters, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Kenneth Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Luguentz Dort, and I'm down to dunk.
We say this is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Luguentz Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
Cracklin Oat Brand?
Have you had Cracklin Oat Bran?
No,
No. Okay.
but it's healthy.
You a big oat brand guy?
I'm a big Oat Bran guy.
Okay.
I think I would switch it with Fruity Pebbles.
Okay, eat faster. Don't put as much in the bowl.
You have a gallon of milk I can also take home.
You don't have milk at home?
One cinnamon toast.
Okay.
Yeah. Cereal is great. Yeah.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Mondays is my good friend, Michele Berra. Michele, what's up?
I mean, are you a big oat brand guy? I mean, it gets me.
So
It gets me every time.
the regular pod does not have like the full cereal
Mhm.
compilation, but if you're listening on YouTube, which I would like to encourage you to subscribe on YouTube, you can catch the full length intro that I think is just too long to put on the regular pod feed. But I'm a big oat bran guy. Remain a big oat bran guy. Haven't eaten a lot of cereal lately myself, but still remain a big oat bran guy. Someone else that's a big oat bran guy. Actually, I don't know if he is. Brian Ortega is the guy who won our half-court shot contest. So I wanted to give a shout out to Brian. I'm going to make a video that has Brian making the shot. I just haven't had a chance to do it yet. So hopefully maybe tomorrow I'll have a chance to sit down and hammer that out. Michele, we had a rough Thunder game. And there's good news and bad news. The bad news is that the Thunder had to play the best defense in the league by far. Good news, tonight they play against Detroit, the worst defense by far. They rank 30th in the league. Their defense, 118.1 this season.
Wow.
Detroit Pistons. How about that for a stat? Their offense, worse than the Thunder, 106.8. Did you know that the Detroit Pistons have the worst net rating in the NBA by far?
Yes.
Negative 11.3. That's 2.2 points worse per 100 possessions than the 29th ranked team in net rating. They have been the worst team in the NBA by the numbers so far.
Yeah, in absolute value, I think that Milwaukee and Cleveland have a bigger number in terms of absolute value, but not many more. I think that every other team is below 11 in point differential. It's a good number. I don't have the strength of schedule of Detroit in the first 9 games, but I mean, for what I recall, it was not an impossible one. So we'll see. I mean, maybe against OKC they'll find their footing. Maybe not. I don't know. I think that their numbers so far are terrible, and so far the idea of getting Bogdanovic and trying to win a couple of games is not working. So on one end, you can say, hey, I mean, we can quickly revert to development mode like OKC did last year and being in the works for Wemby. Or you can look at yourself and say, okay, maybe there is something deeper that is not working because it's year 4 of this. And
This is year 4.
Yeah.
This is their opponents. They beat the Magic. They lost to the Knicks. They lost to the Pacers. They lost to the Wizards. They lost to the Hawks twice. They beat Golden State, which felt important that night, but turns out that Golden State went on a 5-game road trip and lost all 5 of those games, so it wasn't quite as impressive as people once thought. They lost to Milwaukee twice and lost to Cleveland. So
so they had I would say, a middle of the pack schedule, like maybe on the harder side, because they got Golden State, they got Milwaukee twice, and Cleveland that are probably the best team in the league. Orlando is a team that at the beginning of the season was struggling a lot. I think they are better now. So whoever faces Orlando now, it's not like a terrible team. They are quite enjoyable to watch. And but yeah, I mean, a telling number after 8-9 games of normal schedule, I would say, good and bad.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what this looks like. The injury report currently has Marvin Bagley out.
Ouch.
Alec Burks out. And Jalen Duren is probable with a left ankle sprain. And then we've got, obviously, Chet's out. That will be a constant this season, just a constant reminder of a little nagging pain that I have in my heart all season. And then we have Poku out with right shoulder bursitis.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing. So bursitis is a condition where you have these like small fluid-filled sacs that are supposed to cushion the bone, but it's painful. It's very painful. He must have a lot of pain in his skinny little shoulder there for Poku. So
and it's also something where you absolutely shouldn't play on that. I had it on my heel. And it's quite painful. That was mainly due to a wrong shoe that I wear. And I mean, it was very hard to kick off, to basically get away from that. So, I mean, it's sad that Poku has it. It's nothing like that will change your career. It's just basically an inflammation that, if treated correctly, it goes away. And then you have to understand how it basically came up. For me, it was high shoes. I couldn't play basketball with high shoes. I just had to wear Kobe's or stuff like that from that moment on. But for shoulders, I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be resting. Like, he's got to ice it. I'm sure they'll put heat on it. And I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what I'm talking about. But hopefully, he'll get back on the court soon. You know, they kind of missed him the other night. One, just because they have nobody that has any length. And also, he's been screening pretty well for guys like Shai. He actually leads the Thunder in screen assists this season. And they kind of need somebody to do that. And his short roll passing, like, there's just a lot of little things that he does that has been helpful to the team, especially offensively this year. Not that he would have, like, made them win the game. I don't think that he's that impactful. Obviously, you look at cleaning the glass, and he's been a negative this season. But there was just, you could just see like elements of the game where you're like, yeah, Poku would actually help this a little bit.
Yeah, I think that a lot of moments during the game, I felt, they are missing something. They are not reversing the court. They are just playing one side, and it's not pretty. There was a comment on the chat from Adam Brandt. It's too early to be worried about Giddey. I'm mentioning this just because we discussed it at length on the OKC Dream Team show, Thunder After Dark. I mean, I don't know what will happen tonight, let alone for the rest of the season. But surely against Milwaukee, there were a lot of the issues of the Shai and Giddey combo were on full display. Like Shai being, when Shai was off the ball, there was no involvement of him, except for maybe one screen at the beginning of the possession. And when Shai was on the ball, yes, he had a few passes out, but and Giddey, I think, that made one on a Shai pass, if I'm not mistaken. But there was no meshing of the two. You pointed out at various times during the season that Trey Mann and Shai are cooking together. They are screening for each other. They are creating stuff. I don't have the same feeling for Shai and Giddey. They are still adjusting to what they should do when the other one is on the ball. And one thing is, I think, the fact that if Giddey screens for Shai, the man of Giddey will not come out to guard him. When Trey does it, then you can actually leverage the shooting of Trey Mann. So it's not the same, but I think that putting Shai on a corner or on the wing, and just having him wait there is not going to work.
Yeah. I mean, shooting is going to be the big issue for the Thunder all season, and
Yeah.
Trey hadn't shot the ball well
No.
at all.
Is he sub 28? I think so.
Yeah, I think that's right. Goodness, I just didn't really quite understand what was going on with him in Milwaukee, especially at the end there. He was so incredibly passive, and he's supposed to be the guy that's cooking and can get his own shot and get to the step back and get to whatever he wants. And boy, he did not.
Yeah.
I don't really know what's going on there with him, but he definitely looked like maybe looking at his percentages, like maybe that was getting to him a little bit, because he was deferring to others and they're like, yeah, I can't do anything with it either. They had a shot clock violation at the end of the game where it was just like, holy smokes, guys, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I agree. It was weird. I think that he didn't have continuity for the entire game. That was weird. Again, this kind of substitution pattern for now is very erratic. Not the technology is erratic. The pattern itself is like there is no way to tell before the game what will happen. There are games where Dagnall finds a unit that works and sticks. Sometimes they are having good moments and he changes. Maybe it's my eye. It's surely my eye that doesn't catch whatever is happening on the court. But I can't find a read on how Coach Dagnall uses his rotation. And I think that on one hand, if this is the way in which he feels development is going to be faster or better in the end, then do it. But it surely doesn't help on a game by game result, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's you can say that maybe it has helped in some games, like just like the Isaiah Joe sub there at the end of the Dallas game. Obviously, that helped. But then there's
it was one substitution, and the rest of the lineup was steady.
Yeah, I part of what they're trying to develop is a mental toughness with the players.
Yeah.
And they want it to be a little unpredictable. They want them to stay ready at all times. And I think there has to be some growth if this is going to work. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if they know if it's going to work. I have no idea. But they need to see some growth from these players. And this is also just part of, I mean, you play against the best defense in the league. I know Giannis wasn't there. They're largely the best defense in the league because of the way they contest threes and the way that Brook Lopez defends the paint.
Yeah.
And then you have Giannis playing free safety. So like the structure of their defense was still there. You just didn't have the giant, terrifying MVP roaming the court. But like the structure of the team was still there. You still had Drew, who's a really, really good defender too.
Yeah, he was.
And Javon Carter as well was pretty amazing on Shai. And so that's the best defense. That's the most cohesive team they may see all year.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, and a team that plays a very specific brand of defense, a defense that everyone knows, where Giannis is basically as you mentioned, the free safety. So without him, they are more steady. They drop every pick and roll, and you can take as many mid-range jumpers as you want. Mm-hmm. Probably you can also take a lot of threes. They're very disciplined on who they need to close out on and who they don't. This is why I was a little bit concerned. Maybe concern is not the right word. Again, we are at game 9 of a season that most of us thought, hey, this is just 2021 repeat, and it's not so far. So, but one of the things that I think OKC should really put as an emphasis is how many threes Shai takes. I don't care necessarily about the step back threes or the side step threes. I'm talking about off the catch shots that you create for Shai. you have to do that. You have to leverage Shai whenever he's not on the ball that way. I mean, every time I watched part of the Cleveland against Lakers game last night, and not the full game, but I watched a particular possession where Donovan Mitchell started the possession and then sprinted to the corner. Garland was handling the ball and find him on a corner, semi-open. That is how you should play with Shai as well, because Shai is a good catch-and-shoot shooter, and 1, 2 threes per game, that's not enough. You should take 5 catch-and-shoot threes per game.
You know how many he's taken all season?
From the top of my head, I would say a total threes or catch-and-shoot threes?
Catch-and-shoot threes.
I would say 7.
He's taken 10.
10, okay.
He's 5 out of 10 on the season.
Yeah. I know he was shooting good enough.
Yeah, a little over 1 per game.
Yeah, that's not enough.
It's not enough, especially when you're trying. When he says he sat down with me, and one of the first things that he wants to say about that he worked on was his off-ball game.
Yeah, you need to find someone who passes the ball to him.
Yeah, Josh Giddey. How about you? How about you, man? I think you're the man for the job, Josh. You can do this. I mean, that's something they need to work on for sure. I mean, you look at the catch and shoot numbers up and down the roster, and you know who's number 1 in catch and shoot threes on the team?
Yeah, I know. You texted the group chat, so I know.
No, in percentage.
Oh, I think it's Jerry.
Well, it's Isaiah Joe, actually, by default almost. Who's
Who's
5 of 8, 62%. Shai is actually number 2 in, as far as percentage goes at 50%. And then JRE is 40%, but there are 2 guys that have shot better than him. JRE's taken 27 catch and shoot threes. He's made 11.
In terms of
40.7%.
Yeah, volume plus percentage, he has been the most effective catch and shoot shooter, I would say, in terms of volume.
Yeah, it's not even close. And also just because there's not there's maybe 3 other guys that have gotten a decent volume.
Mm-hmm.
Kenrich Williams is actually 5 of 12, 41.7%.
Mm-hmm.
And then Josh Giddey is 7 of 17. That's 41.2% on catch and shoots.
That's not bad.
That's good. That's quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got like Wiggs, who is 38.5%, 5 of 13, which matches the eye test. Every time Aaron Wiggins shoots a corner 3, I'm like, yeah, that thing's going in.
Yeah. What about Usman Jang so far?
This one shocked me because he's another one where when he catches the ball, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is cash.
I think it's low 30, but maybe
31%.
Yeah. But just because he had the first 3 games, if you remove the first 3 games, he's much better than that.
Oh, yeah. This first 3 games, he was just a nothing. He's looked pretty good. He was maybe the lone bright spot.
You're right.
Where you watch him like, okay, like he's showing some things. Not that he like dominated the game or anything. He didn't dominate the game.
No.
But he has some plays, and I had my friend Peter texting me later. He's like, you know what? He's starting to see like why they drafted him, like why they picked him and like why they should spend a lot of time developing him. Just because a guy at his size can do so many things on the court. And if the catch and shoot can improve, then he's a real player just because he can pass and he can defend and he uses his length and he uses what athleticism he has. And it's so early for him. I mean, it's like outrageously early for him, but he's looking pretty good.
Yeah, you know what I liked? It's really a flash that I have in my mind, but I saw him grabbing a rebound and sprinting hard with the ball in his hands towards the other half of the court. And I mean, I know that we always say that having guys who can grab and go is very important, but for him, I think it's natural. The fact that he can get there and he's just natural with the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has to become a lot stronger than what he is right now.
Yeah.
But again, we mentioned it multiple times during the summer. His body is not Pokuševski. His shoulders are not narrow.
Yeah.
It's not a done deal that he's going to be as big as Giannis, for example. I think that is very unlikely because there is
Probably
one.
stop
Giannis.
using Giannis as the outlier guy
Exactly.
that you point to.
Exactly. But if you have
Yeah.
like a normally shaped human being like Shai, I mean, if he's as strong as Shai for year 3, he might be interesting, I would say. Just not picturing like a monster, but just picture something that is natural and it actually looks a pro athlete in 2 years, and that is scary enough.
Yeah, I like Jang. I need to separate those games out and see, but like the overall body of work, like you have to look at it. You can separate. You're like, let's take out the bad games. Oh, in his good games, he's this,
No.
you know. But Trey Mann's only taken 9 catch and shoot threes. 9.
Yeah, that is as bad. Look, you have the 2 best catch and shoot shooters that play regular minutes in, well, not maybe you have 3. Mike, who's not shooting the ball well this year, Shai and Giddey.
He's 6 of 24. He's only 25%.
Yeah, that is going to be to regress to the mean. And he's going to take better threes. He was one of the reasons why OKC was not opening the box of Milwaukee's defense. But back on Trey and Shai, like 20 threes for the both of them, 19 in 9 games. That is not okay.
It's a basketball crime.
Yes, it is. You need to find. I know that they are great with the ball in their hands, but please unlock them when they aren't.
You have other playmakers. That was the thing, right? Like you have other playmakers. Like Kenrich can play make. Wiggins has shown the ability to play make. J-Dub can play make. Dort has been working on his playmaking. Let him do that, but throw to somebody that can actually shoot it. You know, that's been part of what they need to do, and obviously I think they're going to work on that. Going over more catch and shoot numbers, Poku is only 6 of 23, 26%. J-Dub's only taken 8. He's 2 of 8 for 25%. Eugene Omori is 1 of 4. Lindy's 1 of 5. Poor Lindy. J. Will, 0 of 1. And the guy I haven't mentioned yet, Luguentz Dort. He has taken 41 catch and shoot threes. 41. The next closest is Mike Muscala at 24. But 41 catch and shoot threes for Dort. He's made 9. 22% for Lou on catch and shoots. This is not ideal. He shot better on pull-ups last year. That's fine. This is part of where I kind of saw this coming. Just because they need somebody to score, they need somebody to take the shots.
No.
Hold on. Just let me finish.
Okay.
They need somebody to take the shots. Lou is willing to do it. And this is where the Chet not being here is most painful, because the pecking order changes when you throw Chet into the lineup. The mix between Shai and Giddey changes. The offensive game, like, overall changes, and you can put Lou in the corner and say, this is where you've been most successful. This is where we need you now. And now he is still taking up the space on the court that go-to scorers do. And boy, it's not ideal.
All right. Back on the someone need to score, therefore he's taking shots. No, therefore. There is no such conclusions that you have to make. Someone has to score. Yes. There are other guys, and we mentioned just 2 of them that should have been taking that amount of threes. That amount. You know, Dort is sharing the court a lot with Shai and with Trey Mann. There is no reasons in my mind that he has to take a 3 in the first 10 seconds of the game. Maybe you have the number of not 10 seconds of the possession. Yeah. If he has another passable shooter on the court, because he's awful in terms of shooting right now. I know that you can get
19% overall, 19.6% overall.
You only improve your percentage by shooting shots. So he can take threes. I'm not saying that he should not take 1 3 per game, but he's shooting extremely well at the rim. There are multiple possessions where he just decides that he's open and he's going to take it. I don't want those possessions. Just move it, man. Take 1 2 dribbles, probe the defense, and if nothing is there, you can still find one of your teammates and you have 16 seconds on the clock to work with, or 10 seconds. 10 seconds on the clock on most nights, probably on every night, are better than your percentage from 3, because that is 0.6 points per possession and everything else is better. So literally everything else is better, including clutch offense on the last 5 seconds of the possession. That is even better than that. So right now, there is nothing numerically or even by the eye test that suggests that you should take one of those threes. Do an handoff. Use your body to screen for someone else in the same spot. Just call for someone. He will take the ball from your hands. You can do whatever after, like relocating and then attacking the basket in another moment. Just don't take those threes. I would just straightly bench him as soon as he has it, a non-corner threes, and he takes it in the first 10 seconds of the possession. I would just bench him for the entire night. That's it. I told you, this is not what you should do.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Pine.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, but it's insane. Like, doing that is way worse than taking the possessions off defensively. Way worse. Because it's killing you. It's
not in Mark's mind, but sure. Yeah,
I know. But 0.6 point per possession is incredibly sad and incredibly harmful, just as much as you are allowing like a semi-contested three.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. The responses that I've gotten when I've asked questions about this is like they are under the impression that outcomes are not necessarily what they're looking for. They're more interested in process.
Exactly.
And so they like Lou feeling like he has a green light from 3, obviously. Because if he didn't, then this wouldn't be happening. He's taken 51 threes in 9 games. It's by far the most on the team. Trey Mann's taken 45, Jerry 28, Poku 26, Mike 24, Shai 23, Giddey 23. And he's taken more than double the amount of threes that Shai's taken. And, you know, that is a thing that is happening. And so I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying, one, I do think that he's going to be better than a 20%, a 19.6% 3-point shooter this season. I just don't
Me
think
too.
That's not going to sustain. I do wonder what the conversations look like behind the scenes on the kind of shots that he gets. So I don't know. Defense is the calling card right now with this team. Offensively, they have a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And Shai is really the only thing that works right now in terms of the offense. I mean, just him. That's the only thing that works.
I would say that if you just remove the threes from Lou's offense, I think that he worked extremely well on everything else. That is why I'm so mad.
His little pocket passes have been pretty good.
Just do that. The defense is not adjusting to you if you take threes.
Yeah.
Because they will let you have them for your entire career. Marcus Smart, as of today, even if you become like a better shooter, they are not closing out. They're like, or at least it's not the same as Tatum. So if he improves in the shot selection, I don't mind when Shai takes, say, with 7 seconds to go, he penetrates and finds Lou for an open shot. That is a shot that you have to take because it's in the right moment, in the flow of the game, with a good pass that helps you. Everything else, it's not necessary for you to be effective. That is the point. And on top of that, when you don't have a guy that is 6'9" on the court, like, you're getting killed on the defensive board. So it's really, I don't know how to qualify that. It's a crime. It's the second crime against basketball. The first one being not having Shai and Trey Mann having more catch and shoot threes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're gonna struggle on the boards just because they play smaller than everybody.
Mhm.
They're 18th in defensive rebounding. They are 8th in offensive rebounding in the league
Yeah.
this year. That's good for 13th in total rebounds. So considering the personnel, like they're doing pretty well at competing on the boards. But there's definitely issues. If you look at pull-up threes, there's only been 3 guys that have taken 10 or more pull-up threes this season. It's Dort, Shai, and Trey Mann. Can you tell me who has the best percentage out of those 3 on pull-ups?
So Lu Dort is around 17%.
He's 10%. He's 1 of 10. The math
Okay.
was easy on that one.
Yeah. I would say that Shea is around 21.
15%. 2 of
15.
13 on
Okay, then-
pull-up threes.
And I guess the Trey Mann is around 22%.
25%.
Okay.
9 of 36. So he's taken quite a few pull-up threes compared to the other guys, and it has not been great. The
Nope.
three-point shooting for the Thunder. Newsflash, everybody, not great this season. Hey, I will tell you guys a great stat, a positive stat, right after this break. And we're back after that quick break. The Thunder have actually played like a middle of the road number of clutch minutes this season. And it's in 18 minutes, which is 16th in the NBA. They are 5th in offensive rating in the clutch in the NBA. 122.5 offensive rating.
Yep.
They are the number 1 defense in the clutch so far in this very small sample early season clutch rating, which we shouldn't even talk about because it's such a small number that it doesn't even matter. But they're number 1. Off defensive rating of 75.
Yeah.
Those clutch minutes. They're 2nd in net rating only to the Raptors in the clutch this season. So that's pretty interesting because it's not just that Dallas game. Obviously, that Dallas game really skews these numbers quite a bit just because things went in such a wild direction. But they played clutch minutes against the Magic and some other teams. So it's really, this helps. And, this is also just Shai controls everything during these moments. And this is your result. You have that
Giddey didn't play a
Shai.
ton.
Yeah. No, he actually sat in one of these games. So take that for what it's worth. But I thought that was at least interesting and positive.
Yeah, again, it's so tiny that you can't project anything, but you can read what happened. They made their comebacks by playing very hard defensively, even with guys like Isaiah Joe on the court, which is not a great defender, but still a defender that puts effort, and having an heliocentric offense around Shai.
Yeah.
And Poku.
Poku's been a part of it.
Yeah, Poku was great in 2 of those clutch games. Not good, I would say great, which is something that I did not expect to say.
Yeah.
And it's not that clutch.
Magic, he was great. Yeah.
Yeah. But also one of the Clippers game, he was quite good. I don't remember if it was the first or the second, but
It's the second one.
The second.
With Paul George out there. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it was quite good there. And again, he's it's not that those minutes count more than others. There is no such thing as projecting clutch stats over others kind of moments of the game, or at least not to my recollection. But it's still good to see him being positive in moments of the game that matter. That is actually important. Like third quarters for OKC. I don't know if we have third quarters numbers as a stat that we discussed today, but this is a team for this year. They are not bad in third quarters. I would say they are quite good in those moments. And good teams are actually putting a lot in third quarters in general. So being able to switch from the first half to the second and start immediately to a different brand of basketball, it's something that is telling of a team that can find solutions from one half to the other.
I have a stat, a third quarter stat for you, actually.
But it's not good.
What's their ranking in net rating in the third quarter in 9 games?
I would say top 8.
They're the number 1 team in the third quarter in the NBA.
Wow. I should have known that.
Plus 21.8 in the third quarters. An offensive rating of 121, which is good for third in the league. A defensive rating of 99.1, second only to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the third quarter of this season.
That is insane.
That's the Oklahoma City Thunder right there in the third quarter after an adjustment. And typically after a lineup change, the only problem is they're 23rd in the league in net rating in the first quarters. And it's not ideal.
No.
And they are defensively, they're 20th in the league in the first quarter. And then offensively, they're 24th. So
Yeah.
there's a good team in there somewhere, just not in the first quarter. The third quarter, they've been the best team in basketball.
They need to start better.
Which is funny.
And against Milwaukee, they did the opposite. They were okay in the first quarter.
They had their third quarter in the first quarter.
Yeah, they didn't change the lineups.
Yeah.
And they were bad. So maybe the theme here, when you switch the unit from the first quarter to the third, actually something improves. I don't know, it's clearly not like that. But
yeah. If you take just second halves, they're 6th in net rating in the league. They're 4th in defense and 11th in offense in the second halves. And then in first halves, boy, buckle up. It's not great. They're 29th in net rating in the second or in the first halves of these games. They're 20th in defense and 30th in offense in the first half. They have a 100 offensive rating in first halves this season.
Oh boy.
That's by far the worst. They're 2 points per 100 possessions worse than the Clippers, who are 29th. So
that's weird, though. It's like
it's really weird because like the difference offensively, 100 to let's see, where are they? Oh, I did an update. Sorry, great podcasting. 100 to 112. I mean, they're 12 points per 100 possessions better in the second half of games.
That is not. That
Isn't
doesn't
that
make
weird?
any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very, very strange. Very, very strange. But, I mean, credit to the coaching staff for making adjustments in the second half. But they have to find a way for it to work the whole game. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our analysis. Be better earlier because you're bad then.
Well, that's be better because you're bad now. That is actually good advice. Yeah.
It's tough. This is such a, and this is part of this is like being a young team, you know. Being young teams will struggle at times. Like you will struggle against the Milwaukee Bucks, whether Giannis plays or not. You know, like it is tough. And tonight they're playing a team that has performed a lot worse than them all season. And this, if everybody plays, obviously except for Poku, I mean, they should win this game, you know, based on the way that both teams have performed so far this season. So
I wonder what kind of game they will play tonight. Like, would they smoke Detroit? Would they just play like below their maximum standard and make it the game? Will they just lay an egg? I'm not that this will mean anything, but
yeah,
before the Milwaukee game, I mostly saw a team that was playing hard and was playing, especially Shai. Shai was the man on a mission. And I wonder if that version of Shai will be in Detroit tonight. Like, because if that version plays, they don't have the same defensive level of a team like Milwaukee. Detroit doesn't.
They have the opposite. They have the worst defense in the league. Especially,
but Beef
Especially
stew
for
can
starting-
have a good night.
Beef Stew cannot cover for Sadiq Bey has been a traffic cone this season, and Bogdanovich has always been that on the
Yeah.
defensive end. Like those guys are really bad. Cade is not going to compete that hard on that end just because he doesn't have the energy to do both. And so, like, who guards Shai in the starting lineup for Detroit? Like, who is it?
I have no idea.
Like Ivy can't defend.
But
Is
he
it
will
Sadiq?
probably get the assignment.
I mean, Sadiq has just not been good on that end this year. So Shai will have his way with this particular team. They play really small to start the game, and I don't know if Durn will play or not, but they don't. Their rebounding is really bad. Their defense is really bad, but they don't have the personnel to deal with Shai. Where Milwaukee, not only do they have individual defenders, but they have probably the guy who's been the best drop big in the league this season. And, Detroit doesn't have any of that. So,
Yeah, and Gobby in the chat mentions that Cade can guard Shai because he competes. I don't necessarily doubt that. You don't put your best offensive player on Shai, if only because of the fact that he will probably draw a lot of fouls. So I'm mostly convinced that Cade will not get that assignment. There are other guys first, probably Sadiq or Ivy, at least to start. And then if it's a terrible idea, which is probably is on some possessions, I think that Shai will try to find Cade, to be honest with you.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Putting pressure there.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, me too.
The Thunder, and this is why Shai is difficult to guard. I mean, they lead the league. Oh my gosh, help me!
Lead the league.
They lead the league in drives, 64 drives per game. The second team is the Knicks, only at 56 per game. So, like by a pretty wide margin, they're going to get to the basket, and it makes it really difficult if you have a really good drop coverage big, which we have seen. Teams like the Timberwolves and now the Bucks, they can defend the Thunder really well.
Yeah.
The Thunder don't have any shooting, but they know how to defend the paint.
Yeah, just imagine the same defense when Chet can play pick and roll with Shai.
That's what I'm talking about. That's where things open up so much, and you can link all these players together so much easier. But yeah, I mean, I'm very intrigued to see how they play against Detroit tonight at the Little Caesars Arena. So it's not really an elephant in the room, but it's a problem that the Thunder have is Shai and Giddey playing together and how it's looked. I think
Bad.
The kind word is clunky, and you can say much, much worse of them. But so according to Cleaning the Glass, with Shai and Giddey on the court together, minus 19.7. That's in 238 possessions. That's bad. They're losing games whenever they're both on the court.
Yeah, and most of those times are in the first half.
Yes, because they have staggered them more in the second half, and that that goes back to the half numbers that we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Giddey without Shai is a minus 10 in 138 possessions, and then Shai without Giddey plus 18.4 in 359 possessions. So there is a struggle currently there with those two on the court and figuring it out. It feels like your turn, my turn to a degree when they're playing together. They're not really both engaged in offensive actions, and there are problems right now with those two working it out. This is not an indictment on them as a pairing and as teammates, but through 9 games, the sample says this is not good.
No, And I know that I always make things too simple. I think that I discussed this with Joe on one of the, it was probably an OKC Dream Team podcast, about the fact that in order to unlock Shai and Giddey together, you need to have shooting out there. But if you put Trey Mann, then the defense is really in trouble. But I wonder what happens if you start Trey Mann and you play him, Giddey, a guy like Wiggins even, and JRE, and you bring Dort off the bench. You can play Dort 30 minutes anyway, just not when Shai and Giddey are playing together, at least until Chet is here. Because that, I think...
But I get the idea.
They won't do that. I know. I do know that. Because again, if I am the opposing coach, I would just target the two of them, just bringing the screener, who's the guy who's guarded by Trey Mann, and the guy who takes the screen is the guy who's guarded by Giddey, and I will just put them in that situations over and over again, and just kill the Thunder this way. But I can't help myself wondering, what if you have these two guys and a lot of play finishers, or guys that are good enough shooters around them? I think that you will make life easier for them.
Yeah,
you can play with concepts with one of the two that are leading the break or doing the pick and roll, and having Trey Mann as a decoy on the opposite corner. You need to guard him, and so they will have more space. I like the fact that JRE is involving cuts and movements, but if you have the two corners occupied and those two guys, that is, I need to see it before sorry, before I can see that it doesn't work.
Oh no, Michele, he's crying.
Sorry.
Are you okay?
I'm alive.
Okay. Yeah,
Barely.
I am curious to see how Mark tries to get these two to work together, because it is a huge, huge part of the season is to figure out ways for them to work. And some of it is going to be a willingness from Shai and Giddey to sacrifice to a degree to figure it out. And I don't feel like I've seen a ton of that yet from them. And so it can definitely work. I don't think that it's like this is hopeless, and if you're writing this off now, like, it's been 9 games. It's been 9 games of them trying to figure it out this season, and it's too soon to say that it won't work. Even if it doesn't work all season, I'm not concerned. Honestly, I'm not concerned at all, just because they have Chet coming in next season plus whoever they draft. And this is not going to be the team, The team is going to change dramatically next year. And I would want to really reserve any giant judgments for then, because we can get through 50 games. I don't care if it's 50 games or 9 games where you're like, yeah, this is still pretty clunky. It doesn't mean that it won't work or it can't work. These guys are still really young. Giddey still has a lot to figure out as to the kind of NBA player that he is. He looks a little bit more like he's in his head this year than he did last.
Sure.
Last year felt like he was a little bit more free. And this year it feels like it looks like he's almost like feeling the weight of responsibility that he has on his shoulders. And he's really trying to figure it out. And it hasn't really worked yet. And that's okay, as long as you're trying and willing to sacrifice and willing to figure out, whatever it takes to win. I think they'll do that. And I think Giddey has that kind of personality. Like, Giddey is not it's all about me personality. He's somebody that I think will be willing to put in the work to figure it out. But through 9 games, again, it looks clunky at best. And the numbers say that it's not working. But this will be something good to evaluate after 20 games and then after 30 games, to see where we're at. But as of today, we got some issues. I wanted to look also at just pairings with Shai and other players on the court. And so I just did 2-man lineups through cleaning the glass with Shai. So I'm going to give you the pairing. I want you to tell me if you think it's positive or negative.
Okay.
Shai and Poku, positive or negative?
Negative.
It's positive, actually. A positive 0.5.
Okay.
So just barely there, but still positive. Just a glimmer of hope. Shai and Dort,
That is positive.
+7 for Shai and Dort when they're on the floor together. Remember, Shai and Giddey are a -19.7 when they're together.
That seems wrong.
You're right when you say it's the first half. It's like the first half aberration. Like we're having first and second half aberrations on both sides, where it's like the Thunder are definitely not the best team in the league. They're just they've played the best through 9 games in the third quarter. But they're definitely not that. But they're also definitely not this horrific team that plays in the first half either. You get this like mesh of like Thunder quarter soup, and then you get like, oh, okay, they're actually just like a good defensive team and a bad offensive team. Shai and Bays.
I would say positive.
They're a +21 together. So
Yeah,
far.
Bays has been one of the best stories of the. Well, it's not like a loud story because he's playing okay.
Yeah, he's playing okay.
Yeah, he's proficient.
Yeah, he shot the 3 ball pretty well. He's done a lot of good things. He still is playing the 9th most minutes on the team and hasn't started one game whenever they have. I mean, here are the guys that have started at least one game: Mike Muscala, J-Dub, JRE, Kenrich, Wiggins, Poku, Trey Mann, Giddey, Dort, Shai. All of those guys have started at least one game.
Yeah.
The only players on the team that have not started one game: Baisley, Jang, Eugene, Lindy, Jay Will, and Isaiah Joe. Those are the only guys who haven't started. I thought if it were me, I'd start him against Orlando. Just because he's somebody that he's the only like big athletic guy on the team. And they didn't do that. And they haven't started him yet. Now they may start him tonight in Detroit, and this is all moot. But it just seems a little curious to me that he's the one that hadn't gotten a chance. Kenrich, don't think Kenrich started one game last year for this team.
No. Probably one.
0. None.
0. Okay.
He didn't start one game for them last year. And you can easily do that again, but they didn't. And you could easily start, Baisley, but they didn't. I don't know. Just saying, it's a little curious to me that he's played a smaller role than he did last year. And he has not started one game. And this is a small sample size. He may start tonight. He may start against somebody else. I don't know. But it's just a little curious to me in a contract year that you're like, yeah, okay, smaller role, not starting. Good luck with the minutes you got. And not saying that that's what they're doing, but I'm just saying, like, outside looking in, feels a little bit like that. And I don't know all the inner workings of what they're doing, but that's just interesting. And then the +21 is also interesting because he's had some really good games where it's been like, hey, that is the best version of Baisley I've ever seen. Yeah, because he's putting it together on both ends, and he's not taking a lot of dumb shots, and he's trying to finish around the rim. So, Shai and Jeremiah Robinson Earl, positive or negative?
I think that is a big negative because they played a lot in the first quarters.
It's a big fat negative, -18. Just a little bit better than the Shai and Giddey pairing, but it's pretty bad. Shai and Ousmane Jang.
No, that is going to be very close to 0.
Oh man, you're such a smart person. -1.4 for Shai and Us. What about Shai and Trey?
I'm torn because my mind says that this might be one of the best 2-man lineups. But also Trey didn't have the greatest net rating so far. But I would lean they are positive together.
You should go with your first feeling. They're a plus.
Yeah, I know, but I'm cheating. You texted me, so I do know that.
7.
Yeah.
That is something. That's really something.
Can you guess if you put together that is widely positive?
Mm-hmm.
Can you guess if you put together Shai, Giddey, and Trey Mann?
Do you have it pulled up?
I just look at it.
A +7 or something? I don't know.
-40. They
Oh my gosh.
yeah. No, the very few minutes. They barely played together.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't even remember them playing together.
But if you put them together with Muscala, which is again our blueprint for whatever happens with
Jeremiah.
Chet.
Yeah,
but it's better with Muscala. If you put Giddey, Shai, and Muscala together, so far they are positive.
Yeah.
So with a shooting center, with a little bit of space, they made it work. We'll see.
This is why Chet matters so much, just because teams are going to care about Chet, whether he shoots the ball well out of the gate or not. Teams are going to care about him having the basketball because he's I mean, some of it is just about the respect that these players have for one another. You know, like a bunch of these guys, like teams don't have respect for Poku, Dort, Baisley, Jeremiah, Usman Jang, Trey Mann, Aaron Wiggins.
And they will not scheme for Mike Muscala.
They won't scheme.
Maybe after the fourth threes that he
he's
made.
hot, but he hadn't been hot all season.
Yeah,
they don't care about those guys. They will care about Chet Holmgren whenever he plays. They will care.
Yeah,
that's
still
a big deal for them.
They need to find ways to find each other on the court. That is, and when you mentioned after 50 games it doesn't work, I would not be concerned. It depends. If they continues to play like they are not on the same team offensively, like they are not interacting when they are on the court at all, I would be concerned. If you can start seeing flashes of moments where, boom, everything clicks. And do you remember that game in Memphis where for the first time of the Donovan era, they put Ibaka as the center? They put it for 5 minutes, but
it clicked. And then what do? They put it away. They said, okay, yep, goodbye. Won't see this again until the playoffs. Yep.
I don't understand it. I never understood, but it's okay. But that you had, okay, they don't do it every single night, but they have something there that worked. I have proofs on my eyes, my mind, that when they do A, B, and C, they can work together. And so far, I've seen probably 2 or 3 possessions where Giddey really found Shai for an open three, and too many of, I have an avenue to give the ball to Shai, but I'll try to do my herky-jerky dribble and layup against the set defense. Or finding JRE for a nice cut. Okay, nice, but Shai is wide open from 3. There is where the ball should go. Don't be fancy. Just hit the best offensive player you have with a good shot as soon as you can. Because that will bring attention to where Shai is, and you will have more space to do the next attempt at the rim. And this is where I need to start seeing stuff, because there are avenues already when Shai is off ball to getting the ball, and I don't see enough effort from Giddey to do so.
Yeah, I would agree. Shai and Wiggins, positive or negative?
Yeah, positive. Wiggins to me is positive.
Plus 17.8. It's been awesome. And then Shai and J-Dub.
J-Dub. I would lean slightly negative.
Oh, it is a very, very bad minus 26.
Whoa, I did not expect that.
In limited minutes, obviously, but that's the worst pairing so far, which is very
J-Dub wasn't awesome.
He's
after
had
the first games. The first game he played.
Bad moments, yes. This would be a good night for him to get back on track. All right. I've got to go, but I have a few other stats, some other loose stats. The Thunder are 7th overall in secondary assists, which I thought, that's at least something a little interesting. That's something that I think they would like to be, top half of the league in, if not top 10. They are. They're 8th. I mentioned this earlier. They're 8th in offensive rebounding and 19th in defensive rebounding this season. So, which is, I'm interested to see how that plays out with Detroit, who have been a really bad rebounding team overall, a really bad defensive team overall. I'm very intrigued to see. So tonight, every single team in the NBA plays tonight because there's no games on Tuesday because it's election day. So go vote tomorrow if you're in the U.S. And tonight, you are going to get to see every single team play. It's going to be kind of wild. I am handling the Daily Ding for the Athletic NBA show tonight.
What a night.
What a night. Mark Schindler and I will break it down for you guys. That'll be published late tonight. So if you want to hear about that, you can listen to that on the Athletic NBA show feed. The Thunder game tonight starts at 6:30 Central Time, right on the dot. So be ready for the tip to start then. They won't have like their normal delays. It'll start right on time. So that'll be good. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday, and we will talk to you guys again on Wednesday.